Many people who work are unable to afford housing despite having a source of income. Since these jobs do not pay enough to afford housing, how do you plan to ensure that people who are employed can afford safe and stable housing?
It's a tough question. You know, it's a question that isn't really addressed today. We don't really have a program in place that is widely available to lower people's rents. We don't have a program in the private sector. We don't have a subsidy program really. We don't really have anything. Now, some things that we do have, we have subsidies that will help people pay their heating bills. And that's a great thing. We have subsidies like that. So if you can lower the price that people have to pay overall for their living situation, then this is going to help them maybe be able to pay a little bit more for the actual housing. So that's one way you can tackle it. Another way you can tackle it is you need more housing. And Duluth has been fairly okay with this. In new housing developments, we have made stipulations where there has to be some low-income housing, there has to be moderate-level income housing. So you need to, the more housing you have available, the prices are going to go down. It's supply and demand. So overall, that's one big thing that you can do. But it's a tough question. I don't think we've answered it yet.
I would agree that it's a very, very tough question. Housing that is defined as affordable housing these days, I know, is not affordable to many, many people, perhaps some in this room. I think, and as I said, I think it's a very difficult question, but probably one of the things we have to do is to expand the federal programs that already exist with regard to subsidized housing. Duluth has a fairly good record in expanding its housing stock. There are some very good people doing some very good work in this area, Neighborhood Housing Services, the Land Trust, LISC, among others. So I think that we have made some progress, but like I said earlier, affordable housing is at a rate now that is not affordable for a lot of folks. So I think maybe an expansion of subsidy programs is probably the quickest way that we could deal with this difficult problem.
I had a direct experience with creating better housing in Duluth. I owned a sixplex up on the corner of Lake Avenue and 5th Street, and was able to secure funding to fix that building up, and because it was in a very dilapidated state. And I sold that in 2005. It was very challenging to many of the people, because a lot of them were on Section 8 and stuff like that, to do that. And I think the Section 8 program is one way to help do that. I don't think it's a solution. I think we need to tap into private industry to help develop cost-effective housing, energy-efficient housing that will bring some of the costs down, and that will help do that, get people working more, and I think that will help too.
I think there's a number of ways that you can address this issue. First of all, being a home designer myself, first of all, I would certainly suggest stop the idea of having to build mini fortresses. That's the first thing. Build functional, practical homes using as much of the natural resources that you have available. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when you look at some of the bigger programs like Section 8, I believe, and I heard this in my car, so I'm not positive exactly what the number is, but the Section 8 subsidies have not gone up relative to real estate values. Well, landlords are looking at the real estate value. Around here, when you have college towns, they're looking at the per head count. If you go into East Hillside and talk to a landlord, you'll find out that they're renting out their house based on how many people are going to be living there. So a family of 4 at $300 a head has absolutely no reason in the world to be spending $1,200 per month in rent. So I think that that's something that we really have to look at, make sure that it's relative to the people who live there.
Thanks, Brandon. I agree that this is not a tough question either. As a legislator, you do two things. One, first of all, you continue to support the good work that's been done here in Duluth. The Affordable Housing Coalition, in partnership with the city, achieved the Housing 1000 goal a year ahead of time. Why is that important? When you create more housing units, first of all, it brings the cost of housing down, it makes more things affordable, and secondly, it's helped get some of the junk that we have locally off the market. No longer can you rent bad places that have violation codes and health and safety issues because there's something better that is the same or less cost. Secondly, as a state legislator, you take that model that you know well and you're proud of because it comes from your home community and you get it out there across the state. And you help figure out the ways for other communities across the state to do the same thing by partnering between nonprofits and private developers and city government to provide housing, one of those basic things that everybody has a right to deserve and a right to afford.
I believe that all the important issues have been brought up already, but I don't believe, when I look around the room, I don't see anybody that was around during World War II. But the way they solved this housing problem is they put on rent controls. You couldn't raise the rent. And in New York City, people could live because they didn't have to pay a higher rent as time went on. There was rent controls. There's rent controls everywhere in the country. And the thing is if we have affordable housing done by government or private industry with government help, there should be a stipulation that they have rent controls so that they don't keep raising the rent as the economy grows. Another thing that causes affordable housing is in California, the legislature has taken the step that if there's any abandoned houses or poorly dilapidated houses that are in a neighborhood to degrade the neighborhood, they charge the landlord and or the mortgage holder $1,000 a day after 14 days of telling them to get it fixed. And boy, are they fixing them up out in California because nobody wants to pay that. Because they'll just take the house away from you. Thank you.